The final climb. The wind howled across the high slopes of the Skyfall Mountains. Snow drifted across the narrow trail as Aaron, Lyra, Darius, and Mira continued their climb. The air had grown thin. Cold stung their lungs with every breath, but none of them slowed. Above them, barely visible through the clouds, enormous stone pillars rose from the mountain itself, ancient, silent, waiting. Lyra stopped and pointed toward the cliffs. There! Aaron followed her gaze, and for the first time, he saw it. The Temple of Skyfall, carved directly into the side of the mountain. Massive stone stairs climbed toward towering gates. Statues of ancient guardians stood along the path, their faces worn by centuries of wind and snow. Darius let out a low whistle. Well, that's dramatic. Mira's voice was softer. It's older than any kingdom. Aaron felt the silver mark on his hand begin to glow brighter, stronger than it ever had before. Lyra noticed immediately. The flame can feel the temple. Aaron swallowed. Or the temple can feel the flame. The Gate of Guardians. The climb up the temple stairs felt endless. Each step echoed across the mountain. Snow crunched beneath their boots. When they finally reached the top, the enormous stone gates stood before them. They were covered in ancient carvings, symbols of stars, fire, and warriors holding glowing flames in their hands. Mira studied the carvings carefully. These are the original guardians. Lyra nodded. The keepers of light. Aaron approached the gates slowly. The silver mark on his hand pulsed again. The carvings around the door began glowing faintly. Darius took a step back. Please tell me that's supposed to happen. Aaron raised his glowing hand toward the center symbol on the gate. The moment his palm touched the stone, the entire temple shook. Ancient gears groaned deep inside the mountain. Dust fell from the archway. Then, slowly, the massive gates began to open. Inside the temple, the doors revealed a vast hall carved from pure stone. Pillars stretched toward the high ceiling. Ancient torches along the walls suddenly ignited with silver fire. The chamber filled with a soft, glowing light. Aaron stepped inside slowly. The air felt different here. Calm, powerful, alive. Mira whispered in awe. This place holds enormous magic. Lyra walked beside Aaron. This is where the silver flame was protected for thousands of years. Darius looked around at the towering statues. Well, no pressure. Aaron continued deeper into the temple. At the center of the hall stood a circular altar. Above it floated something incredible. A flame, but not like normal fire. It glowed pure silver, floating gently in the air like a living star. The silver flame. The living flame. The moment Aaron stepped closer, the flame brightened. The mark on his hand burned with energy. The flame slowly drifted downward, hovering just inches above the altar. Mira whispered softly, "It recognizes him." Lyra nodded. The guardian has returned. Aaron reached his hand toward the flame. The silver light wrapped gently around his fingers. It was warm, not hot, comforting, like sunlight. Suddenly, images flashed through Aaron's mind. Ancient guardians protecting the flame. Great battles fought to defend the world. The rise of kingdoms. The fall of heroes. And finally, a dark figure walking into the temple long ago, a warrior in black armor, Kael Draven, the man who would become the Black King.
The truth of the flame. Eren suddenly pulled his hand back. The vision faded. Lyra noticed his expression. "What did you see?" Eren looked at the flame. "The Black King came here once." Mira nodded. "That's part of the legend." Eren shook his head. "No, I mean, I saw it. He tried to take the flame." Darius crossed his arms and failed. Eren nodded slowly. The flame rejected him. Lyra looked thoughtful. "The flame chooses its guardian." Mira added quietly, "But the Black King never stopped wanting its power." Eren looked at the floating silver fire again. "So what happens now?" Lyra answered, "The flame becomes one with its guardian." Eren looked uncertain. "You mean?" Mira nodded. "You. The arrival of darkness." Before Eren could respond, a loud crash echoed through the temple. The massive gates behind them burst open. Cold wind rushed through the hall. Heavy footsteps echoed across the stone floor. A tall figure walked into the temple. Black armor, dark cloak, glowing red eyes. The Black King had arrived. Behind him stood dozens of elite soldiers. The four heroes immediately drew their weapons. The Black King's voice echoed across the temple. So, the silver flame finally reveals itself. His gaze fixed on Eren, and the Guardian as well. Lyra stepped forward. "You will not take it." The Black King laughed softly. "You misunderstand." He pointed at the flame. "That power belongs to me." Mira raised her staff. "It rejected you once already." The Black King's smile faded. "That was long ago." His eyes burned with dark energy. "This time, things will be different." The battle begins. The Black King raised his hand. Dark magic spread across the temple floor like shadows. His soldiers charged forward instantly. Darius rushed to meet them. Steel clashed against steel. Lyra moved like lightning through the attackers. Mira unleashed bursts of purple magic that shook the pillars. The battle exploded across the ancient hall. But the Black King did not move. He simply walked slowly toward Eren. Eren stepped between him and the flame. "You're not touching it." The Black King studied him carefully. "The flame chose you. Interesting." Eren tightened his grip on his sword. "I won't let you take it." The Black King's voice was calm. "You misunderstand something, boy." Then his eyes glowed brighter. "I'm not asking." Power against power. Dark energy erupted from the Black King's hand. Eren barely blocked the attack with his sword. The impact threw him backward across the stone floor. Lyra shouted his name, but the Black King advanced slowly. "You have the flame, but you do not yet understand its power." Eren struggled to stand. The silver mark burned again. The flame above the altar suddenly flared brighter. Silver light exploded across the temple. The energy wrapped around Eren's body. The Black King stopped. His eyes widened slightly. So, the awakening begins. Eren slowly rose to his feet. Silver light surrounded him. His voice echoed with new strength. "You were right about one thing." The Black King tilted his head. "What is that?" Eren raised his glowing hand. "Things will be different this time." The moment before the final war. The temple trembled with the clash of dark and silver magic. Darius and Lyra continued battling the soldiers. Mira's spells lit the chamber like lightning. But at the center of it all, two forces faced each other. The Guardian of the Silver Flame
and the Black King who sought to claim it. The fate of the world hung between them, and the final battle was about to begin. The final battle of the Silver Flame. The storm inside the temple. The Temple of Skyfall shook with the clash of magic. Silver light and dark energy crashed together like thunder. Broken stones scattered across the ancient floor. Aaron stood at the center of the chamber, glowing with the power of the Silver Flame. Across from him stood the Black King, tall, unmoving. His dark armor reflected the silver light like a shadow swallowing the stars. Around them, chaos raged. Lyra battled two elite soldiers at once, her blade flashing through the air like lightning. Darius fought near the temple pillars, his sword spinning in graceful arcs as he disarmed one soldier after another. Mira stood near the altar, her staff glowing bright purple as waves of magic pushed enemies back. But the true battle had not yet begun, because the Black King had finally reached the Guardian. The power of darkness. The Black King raised his hand slowly. Dark mist gathered around his fingers. "You carry the Silver Flame," he said calmly. "But power alone does not make you a warrior." Aaron clenched his fists. Silver fire wrapped around his arms. "I don't need to be a king," he replied. "I just need to stop you." The Black King smiled slightly. Many heroes have said those words. Then his hand dropped. Dark energy exploded forward. The force struck the ground like a crashing wave. Aaron raised his glowing hand. Silver light burst outward. The two forces collided. Boom! The entire temple trembled. Stone pillars cracked. Dust fell from the ceiling, but neither force moved. Light against darkness, hope against power. For a moment, the entire world seemed to hold its breath. The Black King reveals his true power. The Black King suddenly stepped forward. Dark flames ignited around his body. His armor glowed with ancient runes. "You think the Silver Flame is the only ancient power in this world?" he asked. Aaron felt the air grow colder. The shadows on the temple floor began moving on their own. Mira gasped, "That magic, it's forbidden." The Black King spread his arms. "I have spent decades studying the lost arts, dark magic that kingdoms feared, power that rivals the Silver Flame itself." The shadows rose like living creatures. They twisted into dark forms around him. Then they attacked. The battle of light and shadow. The shadows rushed toward Aaron like a storm. He raised his glowing hand again. Silver fire burst outward. The shadows shattered instantly, but more followed, darker, stronger. Aaron gritted his teeth. The power of the flame surged through him, but controlling it felt like holding lightning. Lyra suddenly appeared beside him. Her sword flashed through two shadow creatures. "You're not fighting him alone," she said. Darius leapt onto a fallen pillar nearby. "Well, this is definitely the most exciting job I've ever had." He jumped down into the battle, cutting through soldiers with incredible speed. Meanwhile, Mira planted her staff into the stone. Purple runes spread across the floor. A magical barrier formed around the altar. "We need to protect the flame," she shouted. The battle filled the temple with blinding light. Silver magic, dark shadows, purple spells, steel flashing through the air. The ancient temple had not seen such a battle in centuries. Aaron awakens the flame. The Black King advanced through the chaos. Nothing seemed able to stop him. His dark magic shattered Mira's spells. His strength pushed Lyra and Darius back. Soon he stood directly before Aaron again. "You see now," the Black King said quietly. "Power decides the fate of the world." Aron struggled to stay on his feet. The flame inside him burned brighter, but something still felt incomplete, unfinished. The Black King raised his hand for the final strike. "Goodbye, Guardian." But before the attack could land, Lyra stepped between them. Her sword blocked the dark energy just long enough. "Aron!" she shouted. "Stop fighting the flame!" Aron looked confused. "What?" Lyra's voice was fierce. "You're trying to control it. That's not how the flame works." Mira realized the truth instantly. "The flame isn't a weapon," she said. "It's a connection." Darius shouted from across the hall. "Less talking, more glowing hero power!" Aron closed his eyes. The silver fire pulsed through his chest. Not anger, not control, something else. Hope, trust. The flame responded. The true power of the silver flame. Aron opened his eyes. Silver light exploded outward from his body. Not violent, not destructive, but radiant, pure, warm. The shadows across the temple dissolved instantly. The Black King stepped back for the first time. His dark magic flickered. "What is this?" Aron's voice echoed through the chamber. "The silver flame isn't about power. It's about balance." The flame above the altar descended slowly. It merged completely with the mark on Aron's hand. Silver wings of light formed behind him. Energy filled the temple like a rising sunrise. The Black King roared and unleashed his full power. Dark fire blasted across the chamber, but the silver light met it head-on. The clash shook the entire mountain. Then slowly, the darkness began to break. The fall of the Black King. The Black King fought with everything he had, but the flame had fully awakened. Silver light surrounded him. His dark magic shattered like glass. His armor cracked. The shadows vanished. He dropped to one knee. For the first time, the Black King looked afraid. Aron walked toward him slowly. The temple was silent now. Even the wind had stopped. "You could have protected the world," Aron said quietly, "but you chose to rule it." The Black King looked up. His voice was bitter. "Power always wins." Aron shook his head. "Not today." Silver light burst outward. The darkness surrounding the Black King vanished completely. His magic was gone, his power broken. The war was over. Peace returns. The soldiers who remained dropped their weapons. Without the Black King's magic, their courage vanished. Lyra lowered her sword. Darius exhaled loudly. "Well, that was intense." Mira walked toward Aron slowly. The silver light around him began fading. "You did it," she said softly. Aron looked at his hand. The mark still glowed, but gently now, peacefully. Lyra smiled. "The silver flame has a guardian again." A new beginning. Days later, the mountain stood quiet once more. The Black King's army had scattered. Word of his defeat spread across the kingdoms. War slowly faded. Hope returned. At the Temple of Skyfall, the four companions stood together at the edge of the mountain. Darius stretched his arms. "So, what happens now?" Mira smiled. "Now the world rebuilds." Lyra looked at Aron, and the Guardian protects the balance. Aron looked toward the horizon. The sun rose across the mountains. Silver light touched the clouds. The silver flame still lived, not in a temple, not in a throne, but in the heart of someone who chose light over darkness. And as long as that flame burned, the world would never fall into shadow again.